Aloha and welcome to another episode of Tiki Room Talk, a Disney podcast. My name is Angela and I'm joined by my sister Christina.
We will be your master of ceremonies on this enchanted journey into weekly top 5 topics and helpful tips when experiencing all things Disney.
You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, YouTube, or on Libsyn. Just search Tiki Room Talk. If you're listening to us, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Tiki Room Talk. We'd love to hear your feedback or answer any questions you may have, so be sure to reach out to us.
This week's topic, we will be having a special Disneyland versus Disney World Smackdown.
It's Disneyland versus Disney World attractions. Let's get ready to rumble! Our siestas keep getting shorter and shorter, so let's wake up the Glee Club.
Put on the show and get Tiki talking.
Welcome back to another episode of Tiki Room Talk. Teen, how much are you missing Disney lately?
Oh, Ange, I miss Disney every day.
Every day
Hurts
is missing
right in the heart.
Disney. And when we're recording this episode today, we just saw Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It was good.
Ange, opinion.
I loved it. And I had watched all of the movies. I had seen them all before, but I rewatched all of them leading up to it, and that was such a good idea. I enjoyed it so much. Christina's seen only the new 3 and turned to me and goes, "What's a Sith?"
In Force Awakens or Last Jedi, they never even said that word.
I have no comment. Anyway, this topic today, in my opinion, is like a really fun one, and I've been excited to do this one because we did a lot of research for this, and this was a lot of fun. Having been to both Disneyland in California and Walt Disney World in Florida, we are comparing iconic attractions on both coasts.
I'm super excited about this one because, contrary to popular belief, these attractions are not carbon copies of each other.
Yes.
And I know. And while all but one of these attractions were dreamed up in Disneyland, there are actually times when we have to say it, Disney World does them better.
Ooh. There are also times when the original iconic Disneyland attraction that Walt himself had a hand in cannot be beat.
Cannot be beat, yeah. It's a tough call, but we used experience and also multiple YouTube videos to help us judge which version is the best.
And we picked 7 different attractions from both parks to compare and duke it out for the title of the best version. Teen, why don't you tell us who is in the ring first? Ding ding.
Okay, first up, we've got Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
And the winner is Disneyland. Okay.
So this ride is in Disneyland, Walt Disney World, which is in the Magic Kingdom, Tokyo Disney, Shanghai Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris.
The original opened in 1967, and this was actually the last attraction that Walt Disney had a hand in creating. He passed before it was fully finished, but he did have the vision and work pretty profusely on it.
In Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean is located in New Orleans Square, and in Disney World, it's located in Adventureland. And there's kind of a big, ride duration difference for this one. So in Disneyland, it's 15 and a half minutes, and in Disney World, it's about 8.5 minutes.
There's actually even a difference in drops, because in Disneyland, there are 2 drops, and in Disney World, there's only 1.
Oh. Both rides had the addition of Jack Sparrow and Barbossa in 2006, and the new Redhead in 2018. She might have a name. I don't know.
Actually, she's just called Red. 2 Ds. Yeah.
Right.
Just Red.
Arr.
Yeah. You guys know her.
Red.
She's we want the redhead.
But now
she's just like, give him the rum.
We want the rum.
Yeah. YouTube it. Anyway.
Yeah, watch it. We're not that crazy.
Ange, why don't you give us your opinion? Why does Disneyland win with this one?
Okay, so a little bit of backstory on this ride from me. This is my favorite ride, of all time. I always loved this. Since I was a kid, this was my favorite ride, so it always has to be. It can never change. For me, when we went to Disneyland and we went on this ride, it was really cool because the queue was kind of outside, and you board outside, and so it was a really cool experience. And because it was longer and there was more to it, it was better than I had expected. I didn't realize how much of a difference there was going to be. I think we rode it multiple times when you were there.
We probably did.
Yeah.
there's never like a super long wait on either coast because it boards a lot of people.
Yeah.
It has a lot of riders per hour.
Yeah, and I just like I said, starting from the loading dock alone, it's pretty unique. Like they have, I mean, the one in Disney World has like you walk through,
like you're walking through like a Spanish fort.
Yeah. In Disney World, they kind of like experimented with that one. I feel like where they added the mermaids at one point when they did that in the movie. I don't believe they did that with Disneyland's.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, they kept it kind of original. I like that better. I didn't like when they were doing the experimenting and they had like the projections and that kind of stuff.
So actually what had happened was Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't in the Magic Kingdom when it first opened in 1971.
What?
People were so put off and outraged because they were really hoping for that ride. Like, of all the rides from Disneyland, everybody was really looking forward to the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they didn't end up building it. Yeah. And so they ended up adding it a couple years later.
Smart. It needed to be there. It's an iconic ride.
And so one of the reasons that the Disneyland version has 2 drops instead of 1 is because it was actually designed that way to pass under the Disneyland Railroad train tracks. Because something that's unique to Disneyland is that most of their attractions always all have outside queues. Right. Because they don't get the rain that Florida gets.
No.
And a lot of them are underground, which is surprising because of earthquakes. But in Disney World in Florida, because of the sea level being what it is, they can't build anything underground. In fact, the Magic Kingdom is actually built up on and it has the utilidors at what is ground level.
Right.
So in Disneyland, you've got the two drops because it's passing under the Disneyland Railroad tracks. Which makes it unique. And so the beginning, if you get a chance to watch it on YouTube, you start out in actually a bayou, which kind of, to me, was like, oh, why are we in a bayou and then going to the Caribbean? Yeah. But you start out in a bayou, and then they actually have all of these scenes in the beginning where you're seeing the skeleton pirates kind of telling the story. And actually, a fun little fact, there is one pirate skeleton. It's the one that's sitting in the big bed, and he's like surrounded by all his booty and his that's actually a real life skull. Yeah. Could you imagine you donated your body to science and you end up
in
Disneyland
in Disneyland? I'd take that.
But yeah, it is actually a real skull, and I think it was, I had read in the History of Disneyland book once why it was a real skull. I think it had something to do with they couldn't quite get something that looked human enough, so they actually like used a human skull.
Oh my gosh!
And if you
why didn't they just mold one?
I don't know. It was the 60s.
Oh man, I don't know. Crazy times. Am I right?
So also something that's different with the Disneyland version, that's different from the Disney World version. You don't have that giant Spanish fort. When you get past the 2 battling ships and Barbossa and all that good stuff, there isn't the fort on the left. And so you just kind of go right into that village scene where, they're questioning the mayor. And it's kind of weird because you just go like right into that, whereas in Walt Disney World, there's kind of more of a break in the scene, more of a transition. But, and it's going to sound weird, but I feel like in the Disneyland version, and you find this with a lot of their other water rides, I feel like you're closer to the set pieces. Like you feel like
it does look like
you're like
it
right
does
there.
Look like you're a lot closer. It's
pretty neat.
And I think that the one in Disneyland, just because it's longer, I think it tells more of a story, whereas the one in Disney World is kind of just like snippets of it. But this one,
it's more of like a cohesive story, especially at the end, because you have a larger jail scene.
Right.
And then it ends with it has a whole extra room, which is the pirates getting into dynamite and like blowing themselves up. So it's like, oh, yep, some of them got put in prison, but the ones that didn't, they got they wreaked some havoc, and then they like destroyed themselves.
And then Jack Sparrow has all the money.
Yeah, so it's, if you get a chance to YouTube it, it is longer. I feel like it tells the story a little bit better. Just in our opinions. Yeah. The better version of the ride. And also, is the Disneyland version the one that was in the Disney sing-along songs that we used to have? It is, yeah. Oh, see? It was already going to win, because... Shout out to Disney sing-along songs. I think that was, like, volume 1, I think. Was it 1? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I think that's probably why I loved it even more when I was a kid, because I was so familiar with it from the, Disney sing-along songs. Just like the Three Caballeros. Yeah. Yep. A lot of times when you hear the Pirates of the Caribbean ride song, it's usually the Disneyland version you hear.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So who's up next, Ange?
Next, we have the Haunted Mansion.
When the crypto's creak and the tombstone's quake. And who's the winner?
It is Walt Disney World.
Woo!
Okay, so this ride is located in Disneyland, Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom, and Tokyo Disneyland. And the Haunted Mansion has inspired 2 other themed attractions, Phantom Manor and Mystic Manor in Disneyland Paris and Hong Kong Disney.
In Disneyland, it opened in 1969. And in Disney World, it opened with the park in 1971. And similar time, in Disneyland, it runs for 9 minutes, and in Disney World, it runs for 10 minutes. In Disneyland, it is located in New Orleans Square, and in Disney World, it is located in Liberty Square.
And both rides have the addition of the widow room, I guess.
It's called the attic, yeah, technically.
Attic. Yeah.
The bride, her name is Constance. Constance, the bride scenes.
What did she say? She said something.
I think she's like, till death do us part.
Till death do us part.
She says a bunch of other stuff too.
Okay.
And why don't you give us, why do you think Walt Disney World is the winner here?
It was tough. It was tough because
they both have their own uniqueness to them.
And
they both have their positives.
Yes. I think this one goes for what I kind of just said with Pirates, where it like the one in Disney World for Haunted Mansion, I think tells more of the story within the ride, whereas in Disneyland, when you go on the Haunted Mansion, some of the things that you would experience on the ride in Disney World, you kind of walk through. It's still part of the queue. So the ride itself, you get to experience more, whereas you might miss some things because it's still part of the queue. So there's one scene with photos where the lightning flashes and the photos change, and then there's the busts that follow you when you walk by them. In California, you walk by them and it's part of the queue, whereas in Disney World, you're actually riding on the ride and you see them.
I will say I like that they are part of the ride better. However, the queue and the boarding process in Disneyland is so much easier.
So much easier.
When you go on the one in Disneyland, it's just like, or Disney World, I'm sorry. It's just like a cattle call where you just go from the big room and everybody is funneled into a single file line, and it just, people are pushing. Oh, yeah. It's just messy. And in Disneyland, they don't do that.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to get through.
They do that on Test Track too.
Yeah. It's just...
It's bad.
When people you have to get into that single file line, man, people will get rough.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple differences between Disneyland and Disney World. First off, in Disneyland, from October to Christmas, through Christmas season, they do a Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. That is amazing. They do the whole ride in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And they don't change anything. No. They just put these new animatronics and new scenes over the existing ones, in addition to like the regular ghosts and stuff, and it is the coolest thing. If you get a chance to check it out, it's so neat. They build a whole gingerbread house that they put in the dancing room and stuff. Oh, it's crazy, which they do not do in Florida.
Which is such a bummer.
Wish they would, but
I know.
It's really neat.
So cool.
Also in Disneyland, they have the addition of the Hatbox Ghost, which was added a couple years ago, which is a really cool piece of animatronics where the ghost, he's in the attic room right after you see Constance the bride, and his head will disappear and show up in the box that he's holding.
Yeah.
It's a really cool piece of animatronic and, Imagineering and stuff like that. So they have that in Disneyland, but they do not have that in Disney World. Now in Disney World, they have the updated hitchhiking ghosts at the end, which are pretty cool. They'll play with your head.
They take pictures of you and stuff.
Yeah, it's a really neat. They do not have that in Disneyland. Also, a fun little fact is in the ballroom scene, in the Disneyland version, there's actually a crack in the glass, because basically what's separating you from the animatronics in that scene is a giant glass pane. And in the Disneyland, there is a version, there's a crack in the glass because apparently at some point a little boy brought a BB gun into the ride and shot at the glass. And since it's a giant glass pane that you would only be able to replace by like taking the roof off the building and putting a new one in, they couldn't replace it. And so they've like kind of covered it with like cobwebs. Yeah. But you can still see it, which is kind of weird. But obviously that did not happen in Walt Disney World, so you don't see that there.
One reason that I like the one in Florida a little bit better is also because of the facade outside. I love that it is like an actual like creepy looking mansion. Whereas in Disneyland, because it is in New Orleans Square,
it's supposed to be like an antebellum style mansion.
Yeah. And I mean, it looks, I mean, it's still amazing. It's still really cool, but I like the facade in Florida better. That was also a winning vote to get Florida to be the champion.
Also in Florida, when you're in the stretching room, the walls are actually stretching upwards, while in California, you're in an elevator because once again, the ride is underground. Yeah. So instead of the walls stretching up, you're actually in an elevator going down. And I think it's trippier when the walls are stretching up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because when you're in the elevator and it's smooth and everything, you kind of like know you're in an elevator, and you're going down. Yeah. But the dialogue that goes with it where it's like, oh, are these walls actually stretching? Like, they're actually stretching in Florida. I don't know. It's trippy.
It is. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite rides, too. I always love going on this ride. And it's been getting, like, more of a wait, especially around Halloween.
Yeah. They have, and in the Florida version, they have a very interactive queue that they built a couple years ago. It's a lot of fun for kids to play with. And it makes the waiting not quite as boring.
Yeah, it was when Disney was doing that.
Interactive queue.
All right, number 3, teen. This is a good one for you to discuss.
It's a Small World, my favorite. And the winner is Disneyland.
Disneyland, the original. So this ride is located in Disneyland, Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland. And the ride originally premiered at the 1964 New York Fair before being permanently moved to Disneyland in California. This ride features over 300 animatronics. That seems like low. Don't you think that there's like way more than that? I think there's more than that.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
And it's like floor to ceiling.
Yeah, and
animatronics.
And between like not even just the like little kid animatronics, but all the animals and stuff like that. But according to Time.com, the Sherman Brothers song "It's a Small World" is the most publicly performed song of all time.
Very interesting.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Disneyland, this ride.
Should I sing it?
I think maybe you should.
It's a small world after all. Onward!
In Disneyland, this attraction opened in 1966, and in Disney World, it opened with the opening of Magic Kingdom in 1971. They are both located in Fantasyland in both parks. And in Disneyland, it is actually 15 minutes long, and in Disney World, it's only 11 minutes long.
For me, it was like an easy one to choose. Mm-hmm. This one was definitely Disneyland winning. I just like how I just like how they incorporate the Disney characters into this. I know that's a newer edition, but I love how they do that. And you pointed out, I didn't even notice that they changed the music when you're like riding by it. Mm-hmm. This was never one of my favorite rides growing up, but I've like grown to love it more, and I feel like that's funny because usually people don't like it more as they get older.
I love this ride. I don't mind listening to that song for 15 minutes.
No, it doesn't bother me. Probably because it's on my Spotify. And I feel like the secondary characters in this are better. And by that I mean the characters that aren't the kids that are dressed in the traditional garb of their country. Like the animals and all the secondary characters in the Disneyland version. I just feel like there's more of them, and they're, like, more colorful and animated, and I don't know. I just like them better.
So one of the things that can't be beat about the Disneyland version is it is the original that went to the World's Fair.
Right, that's pretty amazing.
They just picked it up, and they moved it to Disneyland. Yeah. So what you see is what Walt worked on, it's what the Imagineers worked on, it is what people going to the World Fair got to see also. And it's really cool. It's, it's longer, it's more intricate. Some differences are that in the Disneyland version, it actually has all 7 continents. So there is an Antarctica section. There's also a North America portion, which celebrates the North American Midwest. It also has Native American animatronics. They also have Canada, so none of that is in the Walt Disney World version. Yeah. And like Ange said a couple years ago, they ended up adding, I think, about 30 or 40 Disney movie like characters into it, but they're not like, it's not like, oh, here's Simba. They're styled in the style of the Mary Blair animatronics.
And it's so subtle, like it's not like in your face, like here's a Disney character. It's like, oh, it's kind of like a fun game to try and find them.
Yeah, and they're in their native countries. So you've got like Alice and Cinderella in the European section. You have Jessie, you have Woody in the American section. You have Aladdin and Jasmine. They have Nemo in the Australia portion.
Lilo and Stitch.
They have Mulan. And like Ange said, when you go by them, you get like little snippets
little
of their music. It's real cute.
Spice.
Like it's interspersed with the song. It's real cute.
And one thing that will never fail whenever you go on It's a Small World is that one of the hula dancers will always be broken or
one of the can dancers.
Or slower than another one. So anytime you go on, look for the hula dancers or the can dancers. They will never all be in sync.
It's true.
I don't care which version you're on. It's always going to be that way.
The one at Disney World always has a broken gondolier in the Italy section. Yeah. Like, he just never works. I don't know. He has a tough time, I guess.
He's got it rough.
And another difference is in the Disneyland version. When you enter each room, you're actually greeted by a plaque that says hello in one of the languages from that continent, which is really cute.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really cute.
I really enjoyed the Mountie when you go into Canada. He's just like on the left-hand side. He's
big
good.
Mountie.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
It's really nice.
And another ride, like Christina said, where it looks like so close. Like, you could just like easily step out of your boat and walk. I mean, don't.
Yeah, don't do that.
But you want to go back
or reach out either, because that'll sound the alarm too.
Yeah.
But
sound the alarm. Okay.
All right. Next up.
This is a big one. This one is the mountains. And by the mountains, we mean Splash Mountain, Space Mountain, and Thunder Mountain. If you are familiar with staying on property in Disney World and you watch the Disney Top Must-Dos with Stacy, she puts the mountains all together as well. Anyway, the winner is...
It's Walt Disney World for this one.
What?
Some of them are closer than others.
It was close. It was really close.
So for Splash Mountain in Disneyland... Well, first off, there's a Splash Mountain in Disneyland. There is one in Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom. And there's also one in Tokyo Disneyland.
Okay.
And it is based off characters from the movie Song of the South. They all have the same 50-foot drop in them. In Disneyland, it opened in 1989, and in Disney World, it opened in 1992. And in Disneyland, it is 9 minutes and 18 seconds, and in Disney World, it is 11 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay.
In Disneyland, it's located in Critter Country, and in Disney World, it's located in Frontierland. And one of the biggest differences here is that in Disneyland, there are 3 drops, but in Disney World, there are 5. Mm-hmm. Disneyland has 103 animatronics. Disney World, surprisingly, only has 68.
That's surprising.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that looking at them. Another one of the big differences is that Disneyland, the logs are different. So Disneyland seats 6 in a single row with handlebars on your side. Mostly like how you would normally see a log flume. In Disney World, it seats 10 side by side, so you have 5 rows of 2, and they actually have lap bars that are pulled down across your lap.
So I'll take the next one. Next one is Thunder Mountain. The ride is located in Disneyland, Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom, Tokyo Disney, and Disneyland Paris. In Disneyland, Thunder Mountain Railroad replaced the ride Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland. In 2013, Disneyland's ride was refurbished. And the rides are both located in Frontierland. In Disneyland, it opened in 1979, and in Disney World, it opened in 1980, and both rides are around 3 minutes.
And then finally, we have Space Mountain. Space Mountain is in Disneyland, Walt Disney World, the Magic Kingdom, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland. It's located in Tomorrowland for both parks, and it opened in Disneyland in 1977, and then Walt Disney World in 1975. So actually, Disney World first.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's about 3 minutes for both rides. So, Ange, why do you think Walt Disney World wins for these?
So to start with Splash Mountain, I like that Splash Mountain in Disney World tells more of a story, where I feel like in California it's kind of just like quickly through it. You might not really know what's going on. Like I don't know. I think I get more of a story from it in Disney World, kind of similar to the Pirates, but again reversed.
So in Disneyland, what had happened was Michael Eisner was president at the time, and they had an old attraction called America Sings. And they had this warehouse full of these animatronics from this attraction that they weren't using. And he was like, we need a thrill ride. Like, let's put this thrill ride in. And he wanted to do a log flume because they were big at the time and stuff. And he instead of actually like developing new animatronics and a new story, he took all of these animatronics from this America Sings thing and was like, let's make a story around this. It'll fit Song of the South. And so that's how it came to be. And because of that, like, the Disneyland version, the animatronics look different from the Disney World version.
They do. It's really interesting.
Disney World version, they're molded to look more like the actual characters. And in the Disneyland version, they're kind of just more like scattered about. Like, sometimes it looks like they don't necessarily belong in certain places because he was just trying to use like as many animatronics as possible.
Right.
I feel like it's a much more cohesive story in the Disney World version.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of time spent like just floating around outside in the Disneyland version before you actually get inside the building and into the story.
Yeah.
There's a lot more like blank space in the Disneyland version and stuff too.
Kind of interesting too when like they had the when you start going up the hill, they have like the moms like telling the story and singing to the kids like, "Don't you go to the laughing place." You know what I'm talking about? And I like that part. Like, I feel like that was like my favorite part of the ride, but it didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really go with the story.
It's because they were just using. They were like, "Oh, we got some bunny animatronics. Let's put some bunny ones in here." It just, I don't know. I feel like they took the popularity of it in Disneyland and were like, okay, let's build it in Florida, but let's actually make this make sense. Yeah.
What about Thunder Mountain? What do you think about that one? Why did you pick Disney for that?
Well, the Thunder Mountain Railroad in Disney World has a better queue line. First off, in Disneyland, you're standing outside in the sun.
Yeah.
In Disney World, it's covered and it's interactive. They have things you can play with, things your kids can touch and play with.
And you can, like, see the ride while you're there. And, yeah.
It's a much better queue. I mean, they're pretty much almost the same ride, except that in Disneyland, they updated the one, when you're getting pulled up the hill, it's like dynamite now. They add some dynamite animatronics.
Instead of going through just like a cave.
Yeah, just a cave.
I like the dynamite too. I wish
it was
over.
a cute addition.
Yeah,
I
like
hope
that
they bring that over at some point.
It makes sense. Like, it works. I also really love about this ride, and if you go at night, there's one part where you're kind of going around a corner and there's like a house to the left of you, and at night you see like a party going on.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun.
And for Space Mountain, the differences in Walt Disney World, there's a couple of differences. So first off, the vehicles are smaller.
Yes.
They're a single style, kind of more bobsled type than in Disneyland, where they're two-seater side by side. They're very similar, the versions. But in Walt Disney World, it always sticks to the original version, other than the overlays that they've been doing at the Halloween party recently.
Yeah.
But in Disneyland, they've actually had several versions of Space Mountain. There was this one they did in the early 2000s where they redid the whole soundtrack, and it was done by U2.
Huh.
And it was so poorly received that they switched it back right away.
Yeah.
And right now they have a Hyperspace Mountain overlay with it that's to promote Star Wars.
Ooh,
so it's
I like that.
It's to Star Wars music and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
You're not supposed to change your mind, Ange.
I know, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it better, but that's still pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of neat that in Walt Disney World, you're always going to get treated to the original.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, and who is up next?
Up next, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout and Tower of Terror. And the winner is Walt Disney World's Tower of Terror. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is located in Disney California Adventure, and it opened in 2017, replacing the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. So that's why we compared them, because it used to be Tower of Terror. It is at 183 feet high. The drop is 130 feet. You go a speed up to 39 miles per hour. There are 3 rows, and it is about 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Tower of Terror, located in Walt Disney World's Hollywood Studios, Tokyo Disney Sea, and Walt Disney Studios Park in Paris. The one in Hollywood Studios opened in 1994. It is 199 feet high. It has a 130-foot drop. It has 8 vehicles, which I thought was crazy. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. 21 riders per vehicle. It is about 3 minutes and 34 seconds, and you go to the same speed, which is 39 miles per hour. Why did we pick Tower of Terror in Disney World, Christina?
Well, for this one, I guess it's probably more personal than anything. I love Tower of Terror. It's always been one of my favorite attractions.
Yes.
Forever and always. And if they ever replace it, I think I might just go crazy. But first off, the Tower of Terror in Disneyland was good before they replaced it. But the Tower of Terror in Disney World was 10 times better.
I remember going on it with you, and we were like, wow.
Okay. It just feels like it's over. It was over so soon.
Fast. Yeah.
And so like the Disney World version, you're in a vehicle that's starting in the back of the building. Yeah. And so you're working your way forward to get pulled up to the top to be dropped down. Yeah. But in Disneyland, you're just starting and stopping in the same place. So there's less of that going through like corridors and stopping and seeing things and stuff like that. I think Tower of Terror is more like iconic for me. I think it was a cool idea. I love the fact that even though Rod Serling was dead when they made it, they took the time to piece together all of his dialogue to make that intro video.
The Twilight Zone.
Very good, yes. Thank you. I think it's really neat that they put that time into doing that to make it as authentic as possible. And I know that like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's meant to be more fun, more interactive. You know, they're encouraging you to throw your hands up, and there's funky music that plays, and the different soundtracks. So like even if you go on it more than once, you can get a different song and stuff like that. But at Tower of Terror, to me, is creepier. I agree.
And the Guardians of the Galaxy ride is really awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It's really cool, and with the music playing, it's a lot, and it's like a lot of up and down, a lot of drops, and it's cool because like there's always a screen like when you stop and then you drop, and I like it a lot. But I do just like Tower of Terror in Disney World better because you're right. It's more of like a creepy elevators freak me out anyway. But and it's just I like the story of it. I like all the props and
it's throwback to nostalgia too. Not even just like a 1930s 40s era type hotel, but also to a TV show that was really big in its prime, right? And that a lot of people know today. I know they've rebooted it recently.
They brought it back,
and I don't know, to me it's like more of an adult ride, like something for adults to enjoy more than little kids necessarily, where like Guardians of the Galaxy I could see definitely catering to little kids tall enough to get on it, of course, but more to like little kids, families. And Tower of Terror to me like is kind of just like more for I guess adults because it's more of like a thriller kind of suspense.
And I like how it takes a little while to get into it too, so you like you said, you go through kind of rooms because you have to go forward to get to your actual tower where you're going to be dropping. And you kind of just don't know when it's going to happen. Well, it gets hot.
Yeah, if you're there in the summertime, you'll know it's coming up.
Because all of a sudden you're like, wow, warm. It's really hot. Then you're like, as soon as you realize, you're like, oh, crap.
And and I don't know if Guardians of the Galaxy does this also, but Tower of Terror has a randomized computer system, so you'll never have the same ride twice. Like you might go on it and you might just drop twice, just 2 up and straight down, up and straight down. Or you might go on it and you might drop like 5 times. And sometimes they're like half drops, sometimes they're full drops. I don't know if Guardians of the Galaxy also does that. I want to say maybe not, because they do have the videos that play when you're dropping halfway and stuff like that. So that might be timed just so it's the same ride each time. Yeah. But I'm not 100% positive about that.
Both good rides.
Both the rides, lots of fun.
Disney is winning this one from us. Oh, I like this next one.
All right, and who's next, since you like it?
Next we have Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers.
And the winner?
The winner is Disneyland with Radiator Springs Racers, because this is literally the coolest thing ever.
It's such a cool ride.
Aside from the new Rise of the Resistance ride, this is like the coolest ride.
Yeah, it's really cool. Test Track is located in Future World in Epcot. It is the only one. It opened in 1999 and then was closed and reopened in 2012 with a new interior. It was originally presented by GM, but is now sponsored by Chevrolet. And it has a top speed of 64.9 miles per hour with 6 riders per vehicle. It's about 5 minutes long. And it does offer single riders, just in case you guys were wondering.
It's good.
Want to find a way to get on it pretty fast.
It's true.
Now, Radiator Springs Racers is in Cars Land and Disney California Adventure. It is also the only one. It's based off the Disney Pixar movie Cars. It opened in 2012 with Cars Land. It has a top speed of 40 miles per hour, 6 riders per vehicle. It is 4 minutes and 22 seconds long, and it has 23 audio animatronic cars.
Which characters. Are amazing.
They are really the forefront of animatronics. They move so fluidly.
Yeah.
They have those projected eyes that like blink, but it works so well. It
works
so
really well
cool
for those characters. Like, I don't think it would work as well if you weren't working with cars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And I love Test Track. I really, really love Test Track. I like the original version of Test Track better than the version that is there now. I do still
agree.
I do still enjoy the version, but I like the idea of like being a test dummy kind of. And again, the new version's really like cool and updated, but I like the original version better. But it wouldn't. Neither of them compared to Radiator Springs. I mean,
it was like Angela. It would have been a closer call, I think, if it was the older version of Test Track for me. But Radiator Springs is so different. So one of the differences, besides there being a whole Cars theme and you're going through the Cars Land and you're meeting all the Cars characters, it's a side-by-side racer ride.
Yep.
And you have 2 totally different experiences depending on what side you're on, too. Like, one side goes into Ramon's Body Shop, the other side goes into Luigi's Tires and stuff, and then you have a different winner every time. Yeah. So you could be in the losing car one time, you could be in the winning car one time, you could ride it twice and be in the winning car both times. Right. You know, it's going to be different no matter
or you
when
could lose twice.
Could lose twice, too. And it's really cool because you get that feeling of the wind in your hair, but you're, instead of being on a metal track like in Test Track, you're going through these like
Radiator
California
Springs.
Mountains, and it's like gorgeous, you know. Mostly you're like get excited, like, oh, we'll go fast, you know.
It really makes you feel like you're in the movie, though. I mean, the facade is just amazing, and it really does make you feel like you're in the movie. And then you get to like interact with all the characters that are there. I mean, if you have kids that are Cars fans, this ride in California is the coolest ride.
It's a really, really neat attraction if you get a chance to go on it. All right, and our final ride entering the ring is Indiana Jones
dun, 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 dun,
versus
dun, dun, dun.
Dinosaur.
I don't have music for
and
that.
And who's the winner, Anne?
The winner is Walt Disney World's Dinosaur.
The reason we put these 2 together is because while very different in theme, they are the same type of vehicles. They're the same type of ride, basically.
It's kind of how we compared Test Track and Radiator Springs.
Yeah, it's similar.
They're both EMV rides, which means Enhanced Motion Vehicles. Indiana Jones is located in Disneyland and Adventureland, and it's also in Tokyo Disney Sea. Based on the Indiana Jones series, it opened in 1995, and it has 12 riders per vehicle, and it's about 3 minutes and 25 seconds long. Dinosaur is located in Animal Kingdom in Dinoland, USA. It is kind of based on the movie Dinosaur.
Technically, the ride came before the movie, and then they kind of tried to
incorporate
them in.
it. Yeah. So kind of. It opened in 1998. It also has 12 riders per vehicle, and it is about 3 minutes and 5 seconds. Teen, why do you like Dinosaur better?
Okay, so even though these rides use the same technology, which is really cool technology, by the way. Always have loved both.
Yeah.
I feel like Dinosaur has kind of like a better plot line.
Yes, that's exactly
I
what I was
really
thinking.
like the idea that you're going back in time, you're time traveling to pick up this dinosaur to bring it back for research purposes, but it's an unauthorized trip, so it's already shady that you're there.
Yeah.
And you have to get out before the meteors hit, and they think you're going to get out before the meteors hit. And I'm not going to give it all away, but...
You don't make it.
But it's, I don't know, I think it's a really cool idea. And while Indiana Jones is awesome, not gonna lie, I've only ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, so not like a super indie fan here. One of the things that I like more about Dinosaur is you don't see the other vehicles while they're on the track because there's always like foliage.
I think there's maybe like one time where you can kind of glimpse one, but you're just more immersed.
It's you, and you're just, everything's all around you, and it's dark.
Yeah.
While as on Indiana Jones, there are multiple times where you'll see the cars in front of you, you'll see the ones on your side, like, you'll see them passing over the shaky bridge before you pass over the shaky bridge. And I don't know why. That just kind of pulls me out of the story a little bit.
Yeah.
And reminds me that I'm on a ride.
Yeah.
Whereas in Dinosaur, it's dark. You're bumping all around. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. I'm like, you know, I feel like you're more fully immersed in it.
I think the loading area for Dinosaur is like kind of creepy.
You do?
I do. I think it is. It's like all metal, and I feel like there's like smoke and... I don't know.
I remember being really young and being kind of like super weary about it. Like, oh my God, what's this ride about?
Yeah.
Like dinosaurs? Like, what's going to happen? And I knew like at one point a giant T-Rex was going to come out and stuff. And I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know. With Indiana Jones, I guess it was more familiar. So you're just kind of like, oh, okay. I bet there's some snakes on this. You know? But Indiana Jones is a super duper popular ride in Disneyland. It's one of their most popular rides. There's always super long lines, best to get a fast pass for it, and people are diehard fans of that ride. So I'm sure somebody listening to this is going to be very upset somewhere.
We love it. We do.
And we do love it. I'm not knocking on Indiana Jones at all, but I do think that Dinosaur, to me, just is a better use of the technology and is also just a more immersive experience.
I agree. So that's all we've got for today. Hopefully this episode was entertaining for our listeners. This brawl has got us beat. And there are other attractions from both parks that we did not cover. So we'd love to hear your feedback and what you would pick as the winner in your Disneyland versus Disney World attraction brawl.
Leave us a comment on social media with your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
Thank you guys for listening.
And we'll see you real soon.